Alex Eala just got the welcome of a lifetime in Dubai, and the tennis world can't stop talking about it. The reception she received wasn't your typical player introduction. This was something completely different. The crowds showed up in ways that left even seasoned tennis observers speechless. Let's break down exactly what went down and why everyone's losing their minds. Have you ever seen a tennis player get this kind of reception at a tournament? Drop your thoughts below. So Alex Eala rolled into Dubai for the duty-free tennis championships, and suddenly, it's like the whole Filipino community decided to make it a national holiday. We're talking about support that went beyond just showing up. This was a full-blown takeover. The 20-year-old who's been climbing the rankings faster than most people expected just became the center of attention at one of the biggest tournaments in the Middle East.
It means a lot for me because it makes me feel like I'm home when I'm traveling, so many weeks of the year. And I think that feeling is reciprocated for a lot of the Filipinos.
Here's the thing about Dubai and the UAE in general. There's a massive Filipino population there. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people who left their home country to work, build lives, and send money back to their families. These folks don't get a lot of opportunities to see someone who represents them competing at the highest level of international sports. So when Alex Eala shows up to play tennis, yeah, they're gonna make some noise. But this wasn't just regular fan support. This was the kind of reception usually reserved for Roger Federer or Serena Williams. Social media went absolutely nuts with videos of the crowds, people lining up around the courts, Filipino flags everywhere, chants echoing through the stadium. And Alex? She's out there ranked 40th in the world, not even a top 10 player yet, getting treated like she just won 10 Grand Slams. The tournament organizers probably didn't know what hit them. They've got 18 of the world's top 20 players in the field. Aryna Sabalenka's there. Iga Świątek showed up. Coco Gauff's in the draw. These are literal superstars of tennis. But when Alex Eala steps on court, the energy shifts. Suddenly everyone's filming on their phones. The atmosphere becomes electric. It's not about rankings anymore, it's about representation. Let's be real for a second. Tennis has always been this sport dominated by certain countries. You've got your Americans, your Europeans, your occasional Australian making waves. Asian representation has grown over the years, with players from China and Japan breaking through. But Filipino tennis players at the elite level? That's been practically non-existent until now. Alex Eala isn't just playing tennis. She's carrying an entire nation's hopes on her shoulders. The wild part is how she's handling all this pressure. Most players would crack under that kind of expectation. Having thousands of your countrymen showing up expecting miracles every time you play has to be intense. But Alex seems to feed off it. She's talked in interviews about how the support makes her feel at home, even though she's traveling basically year-round. That's the kind of mentality champions have. Dubai specifically has become this fortress of support for her. After what happened at the Abu Dhabi Open just weeks before, everyone knew Dubai would be crazy. In Abu Dhabi, she had this comeback win against Alexandra Sasnovich that was legitimately insane. Down 2-6 in the first set, then down 4-0 in the deciding set. Her opponent had match point. Most players pack it in at that point, not Alex. She fought back, won the set 7-5 in a tiebreak, and had the crowd absolutely losing it. That Abu Dhabi match became legendary among Filipino fans. The videos went viral. Everyone back in the Philippines was staying up late or waking up early to watch. It wasn't just about tennis anymore. It was about seeing someone refuse to quit when everything looked hopeless. That's the kind of story that resonates with people who've had to grind and struggle themselves. So when Dubai rolled around and Alex was confirmed in the lineup, the Filipino community in the UAE basically mobilized. Group chats were firing off. Plans were made. Time off was requested from work. People were treating this like a once-in-a-lifetime event because, honestly, for many of them it probably was. How often do you get to watch someone from your country compete against the absolute best in the world at something? The tournament draw ceremony itself became an event. Alex showed up looking confident, took photos, did the official draw where she got matched against a qualifier for her first round. Standard tennis stuff. But the energy around it? Not standard at all. Fans were already camping out, already making their presence known. The tournament officials had to be thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting. Now, let's talk about what makes this whole situation kind of hilarious from a tennis perspective. The Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships is a WTA 1000 event. That's basically the tier right below Grand Slams in terms of prestige. These tournaments usually have very corporate, very polished vibes. Fancy sponsors, wealthy attendees, everything very proper and controlled. Then Eala shows up and suddenly there's this working-class energy flooding the venue. Filipino fans aren't there to sip champagne and politely golf clap. They're there to support. Loudly, passionately, unapologetically. The contrast probably made some of the tennis establishment uncomfortable. Good. Sports need that kind of authentic passion. The sterile corporate atmosphere that sometimes takes over these elite events can suck the life out of them. Alex's fan base brings genuine energy that you can't manufacture or buy. What's even better is that Alex isn't some feel-good story who can't actually compete. She's ranked 40th in the world and climbing. 12 months ago, she was ranked 139th. That's an absolutely massive jump. You don't make that kind of leap without serious talent and work ethic. She reached the semifinals in Auckland earlier this year, made the quarterfinals in Manila. Her run in Abu Dhabi was legit. This isn't a player getting by on hype. She's actually backing it up with results. The Australian Open earlier in 2025 was a huge milestone too. She became the first Filipino player to win a main draw match at a Grand Slam in the professional era. Let that sink in. First, ever, in professional tennis history. That's the kind of barrier-breaking achievement that goes beyond sports. Every Filipino kid who picks up a tennis racket from now on has proof that it's possible to make it to the top. After that Australian Open win, Alex talked about the traffic jam of fans trying to watch her play. They literally caused a backup trying to cram around the court she was assigned to. Tournament organizers weren't prepared for that level of interest in a first-round match on an outside court. Alex handled it like a pro, saying it just showed how much tennis is growing in the Philippines. That's the right attitude. Embrace the chaos instead of being overwhelmed by it. But here's where the sarcasm needs to kick in. Despite all this support, despite the clear evidence that Eala is a massive draw, despite the viral moments and the crowds and the social media engagement, there are still people in tennis who act like she's just some flash in the pan. Like her popularity is undeserved or manufactured. It's wild. You've got a player who literally brings thousands of fans to tournaments, who gets entire communities engaged with the sport, who's climbing the rankings consistently, and there are still doubters. Part of it is probably the usual gatekeeping that happens in elite sports. Tennis especially has this history of being snobbish about who gets taken seriously. If you're not from a traditional tennis powerhouse, if you don't fit the mold, there's always going to be skepticism. Alex is dealing with all of that while also carrying the weight of being the first Filipino to really break through at this level. The Dubai tournament was always going to be a test. You've got Sabalenka there, fresh off another dominant run. Elena Rybakina just won the Australian Open. Iga Świątek's trying to reclaim her #1 ranking. Coco Gauff's still one of the most exciting young players in the game. That's an absolutely stacked field. Alex drew a qualifier for her first match, which is about as good a draw as you can hope for, but even qualifiers at this level are dangerous. These are top 150 players who are fighting for their careers. The pressure of playing in front of that home crowd-style support in Dubai has to be intense. Everyone expects you to win. Everyone's watching your every move. You're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for everyone who showed up wearing your country's colors, everyone who took time off work, everyone back home who's streaming the match at 3 a.m. That's a different kind of pressure than most players experience. What happened in Qatar just before Dubai probably gave Alex some perspective, though. She went into that WTA 1000 event, riding high, career-high ranking, momentum from Abu Dhabi, all the buzz building. Then she ran into Teresa Valentova in the first round and lost 7-6, 6-1. Just like that, the run was over. First set was competitive, went to a tiebreak, but once she lost that, the second set got away from her. That kind of early exit is always tough, but it's also part of tennis. Nobody wins every match. Even the greatest players in history have had plenty of first-round exits. The key is how you respond. Alex had to dust herself off, deal with the disappointment, and immediately shift focus to Dubai, where expectations would somehow be even higher. The Filipino community's support probably helped her bounce back mentally. When you know thousands of people have your back regardless of results, it takes some of the sting out of tough losses. They're not going to abandon her because she lost in Qatar. They're going to show up in Dubai even louder, even more supportive, even more determined to will her to victory through sheer volume. This whole situation also highlights something interesting about modern tennis. The sport has been trying to expand globally for years. The WTA and ATP are constantly adding tournaments in new markets, trying to grow the game beyond its traditional strongholds. But real growth doesn't come from just putting tournaments in new places. It comes from having local stars that communities can rally around. Eala is doing more for tennis in Southeast Asia than any marketing campaign ever could. The comparisons to other barrier-breaking athletes are inevitable. She's mentioned growing up watching Manny Pacquiao fights. That's the level of national icon we're potentially talking about here. Pacquiao transcended boxing in the Philippines. He became a cultural phenomenon, a source of national pride, eventually even a politician. Tennis is different than boxing, obviously, but the potential for Alex to have that kind of impact on her country is real. What's crucial now is how the tennis establishment responds to this. The smart move would be to embrace what's happening, to recognize that Eala's popularity is good for the sport, to feature her prominently in marketing and promotional materials. But tennis doesn't always make smart moves. Sometimes the sport gets weird about its rising stars, especially if they don't fit the traditional mold. The fact that FIBA put Alex front and center on their promotional materials, while Team USA Basketball didn't feature Caitlin Clark prominently, shows that different organizations have different levels of marketing savvy. Some get it, some don't. Hopefully, the WTA is smart enough to realize what they have with Alex and the Filipino fanbase she brings. Dubai was always going to be special for Alex, regardless of results. The support she received, the energy in the crowd, the way the Filipino community showed up, that's what these tournaments should be about. Not just sterile, corporate tennis events, but genuine sporting occasions where communities come together to support their representatives on the world stage. The long-term implications of what's happening with Eala go way beyond just her individual career. Every young Filipino kid watching her play is learning that tennis is a viable path. Parents who might never have considered putting their children in tennis are now thinking about it. Tennis clubs in the Philippines are probably seeing increased interest. That's how you grow a sport, through representation and inspiration. Whatever happens in her Dubai matches, whatever the results end up being, Eala has already won something bigger. She's won the hearts of an entire community. She's given people a reason to believe. She's shown that you don't have to come from a traditional tennis country to make it at the highest level. And she's done it all while handling the pressure with grace and humility. The reception she got in Dubai wasn't just about tennis. It was about identity, pride, representation, and hope. That's why fans were shocked, not just by the size of the support, but by the depth of emotion behind it. This is what sports can be at their best: a rallying point for communities, a source of shared joy and pride, a reminder that anything's possible with talent and determination. That's the story of how Eala turned Dubai into her personal fortress. The support she received wasn't just impressive, it was historic. If you want more content breaking down the biggest moments in tennis and sports, hit that subscribe button. Like this video if Alex's journey inspired you. Comment below with your predictions for her next tournament. Peace out.